Horus and Chance, almost and this is every single Warhammer 40k faction explained by the channel Bricky. This is a part 1 and it's 50 minutes long. There's a part 2 which is an hour long, because of course it is. I watched the Astartes 1 to 4, right? And then I realized there is something called Warhammer. Apparently it was some kind of a board game, then it evolved into this kind of a deep lore thing, which is such a deep lore that most people don't even know everything about it, apparently. Because I was confused in a study, because that's the first time I'm reacting to anything Warhammer. And people say that don't worry, even the people who know are confused lots of times. So I guess this apparently explains it in the best way. So I love lore, right? Best game that I've ever played for me was Elder Scrolls, right? Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim. Why? Because the lore of that is so deep that it goes beyond the games. I love that. Then recently, I guess just a year ago, 6 months ago, I learned about SCP and how a lot of that is deep. And now I'm learning there's such thing as Warhammer 40k, which has even more ridiculously deep lore. I didn't know things like this existed, but the more I find it, the more I'm having fun. Like, yeah, I like things like this. So it's gonna be fun. Remember, if you like my reaction, don't forget to like and subscribe so I know which type of videos to react to more, I guess. Check out the reaction today, there's a link in the description. Check out the cards for different playlists I created, check out the end cards, and yeah, let's watch this one.
As someone who doesn't necessarily serve the Omnissiah, but someone who can appreciate them, you will not be getting my legs today, as I will be replacing them with various things depending on which faction we are currently talking about, to add a little bit more context and possible comedy to whatever the hell I am currently doing. So, hello everybody, my name is Bricky, and this is going to be a long video and a large project that has been going on for quite some time. This is... I need 2 hands for this. This is every single Warhammer 40k race in kind of a nutshell, explained, a little bit of explanation, a little bit of lore, a little bit of talking about the tabletop, mostly lore, what they're all about, and also a little bit of background for those of you who just have no clue what Warhammer 40,000 is. Now you see, Warhammer and Warhammer 40,000 is a universe people hear plenty of, but don't know a whole lot about. They see, oh, there's these dudes in big power armor with chainsaw swords, and they got these big old green orcs, and there's some bugs over there, and everyone calls these guys weebs, and then there's these spiky bitches over here, and I don't get it. I don't understand. Where do I start? Well, this video is particularly for you, or for those of you who have a little bit of knowledge, but you're kind of curious about each of the different races and factions in Warhammer. So overall, the Warhammer universe is vast when it comes to lore and background, and each different faction is so different with the things that they believe in, and some
all of that.
And background and each different.
Damn, look at that. How many factions are there? Where is the Astartes faction, right? That eagle thing. It's not here? I mean, only watch Astartes about this, right? I mean, there is this, power armor type of guys. And I asked who's the good guy, and people just overwhelmingly commented there is no good guys. Everything's dark. Apparently this is grimdark. So, there was that, and there was some magical people in the other side, and then in the end there was some kind of an orb thing which I was confused about.
Faction is so different with the things that they believe in, and some are human, some are transhuman, like where they all have all these crazy ass electronics on them. You've got aliens, and you've got the chaos factions, and there's so much to entail that I decided to embark on this project to tell you what each and every single one of them is about, and what the Warhammer universe is about as well, to give at least a little bit of an intro to this
let's go.
extremely bloated,
I'm hyped.
very, very enjoyable world that I and many others partake in. So, I will be explaining every single faction in the Warhammer 40k universe, at least all the factions you can play as, and some smaller factions here and there. I will not be discussing absolutely everything in it, because that is a little bit much, and I'm not going to go too mega deep into the lore. I'm going to give you a pretty solid overview of each of the different factions, and have you learn a little bit about them, and we'll discuss a little bit of the tabletop as well, in case you were curious about that. But for this episode entirely, we are discussing the Imperium of Man, because that takes up a fat chunk of Warhammer lore. What is Warhammer 40,000? Well, the 40,000 starts off is the year 40,000. The 41st millennium, that's where it takes place, is in the year 40,000, 41,000 AD.
Okay, I like how they just use the word millennium rather than century. Otherwise, it would be what, 410th century or something? So 41st millennia, that's awesome. So this is in year 40,000. Damn, that is so good, right? Because people usually just, go a few years ahead, right? Basically 1,000, 2,000. But they just went all the way 40,000 because fuck it. It makes sense because things are such different from reality, I guess. If you go to 40,000 years, I guess, it explains a bit. Wait a minute, is this from the same universe that we are? This is we're supposed to think that this is some fictional universe that has nothing to do with us. Because if it's our universe and all these things exist, that implies that there are things that we don't know today in a way.
You're already more knowledgeable. Let me read you a quote, first of many quotes in this video. It is the 41st millennium. For more than 100 years, the Emperor has sat immobile on the golden throne of Earth. He is the master of mankind by the will of the gods, and master of 1,000,000 worlds by the might of his inexhaustible armies. He is a rotting carcass, writhing invisibly with power from the dark age of technology.
What?
He is the carrion lord of the Imperium, for whom 1,000 souls are sacrificed every day so that he may never truly die.
Damn.
To be a man in such times is to be amongst untold billions. It is to live in the cruelest and most bloody regime imaginable. These are the tales of those times. Forget the power of technology and science, for so much has been forgotten, never to be relearned. Forget the promise of progress and understanding, for in the grim, dark future, there is only war. There is no peace amongst the stars, only an eternity of carnage and slaughter, and the laughter of thirsting gods. Everything blows. And it blows fucking hard. Warhammer is probably the most dark and depressing universes ever in fiction, or at least like top 3. Everything is so absurdly horrible, destructive, or overpowered that it all kind of ends up canceling itself out. It's like Dota. War rages across the galaxy. Interstellar travel is only possible due to sacrificing 1,000 souls a day to a rotting carcass of a man who you believe to be your god. Demonic gods and just...
Okay, first of all, if I were alive around this time, if I just walked in and see that, I would die just seeing that. What the fuck is that? Look at that. This is ridiculous. So let me get this straight, right? We are in a time which is like 41st millennia, 40,000 AD, right? But in that time, lots of scientific knowledge has been lost. And apparently it's such a grim, dark universe that, people are constantly at each other's throat and war, that no scientific advancement is happening. So, even though lots of things are advanced because technology that's stuck around, lots of things people are not trying to find out and advance the scientific frontier. So anybody wants to make an interstellar travel has to go through this god, right? Like you have to sacrifice 1,000 souls every day. So this god would basically let you interstellar travel somehow. Damn, that is some detail. I'm loving this already.
Carcass of a man who you believe to be your god. Demonic gods and just demons tear open the fabric of reality on a whim. Other Xenos or even other humans end up killing each other in untold billions across the galaxy. It is a time of unending war, slaughter, and a bloodbath amongst everybody. Planets are deemed unrecoverable and are completely destroyed on a whim. Everything sucks, but that's like the charm of it. See, everything in Warhammer is evil, but being evil is kind of fun. Like humanity in its own right is a xenophobic, prejudice, and religious zealot group that kill each other just as much as they kill all of their enemies. And they're like mid to high tier evil on the
My roles, that guy, Tau players, Imperium of Man, Elder, Orcs, Tyranids, playing low tier for fun, playing by intent, guys who bring food. Yeah, okay. See, there is a charm to that for apparent reason, because in our own self we kind of feel that, like, reality of world is kind of dark that we live in already, right? If we peel away everything, there is always something dark, right, about our own world. So whenever we see a grim, dark universe, it feels realistic to us, even though it's way too over the top. It feels like, yeah, but I can understand this somewhat. Everything's dark. It's human nature, I guess. Everybody wants to kill everybody. Yeah, I can understand that as well. That is something. That is why I think Fallout series work, because Fallout can be lots of fun, and obviously recent installment Fallout 4 and Fallout 76 has become this kind of a too much settlement building, and everybody's happy doing that weird kind of poses and things just for fun's sake. But original Fallout, right? Original Fallout, Fallout 3, New Vegas, these are surviving dark times after post-apocalyptic, right? That's why people find it, because it's dark, right? There is very little hope about things. I'm not saying completely dark, but that's the concept of it. That's why people love Fallout. So whenever there's grim darkness like that, like, there is no, good guy and hoping for the good future mentality. It's just surviving, I guess. It's just everything's dark, everything at each other's throat, everybody's killing each other. And this kind of a detail when you put into things is just awesome.
Evil scale of Warhammer, nobody is good. No matter who you are, everyone is some flavor, some color of evil. Whoever you pick, you are going to be the bad guy. But that's the fun of it. Because being the bad guy is badass. Villains are cool. They look cool, they got cool outfits, they got cool weapons, they got cool armies. Villains are cool, man. And when everyone is a villain, everyone is pretty cool. That's what makes this so charming, is that everyone can be the bad guy. So let's start off talking about the main bad guy, quote unquote, the Imperium of Man.
It's hair, whack. It's gear, whack.
The Imperium of Man is the main empire of the human race. All of humanity is under this one flag called the Imperium. And about 10,000 years ago, there was a man. He was the Emperor of mankind, a 10-foot-tall psychic demigod who led humanity across the stars to colonize tons and tons of worlds, create superhuman soldiers, and really bring humanity into a new age. This man, the Emperor of Mankind, was a psyker. And a psyker is like a magician of sorts. In the world of 40k, there is the Warp, the Immaterium, kind of like hell, but sort of like a purgatory dimension of hell. And a psyker is someone who can take that power and manifest it through their mind to use it to do stuff, like witchcraft stuff, magician stuff, spells, and lots of other things, but we don't want to get too into that. The Emperor, big boy psyker, top tier, A+, maybe even S. Now, the Emperor created a bunch of sons. Yes, created a bunch of sons.
So there are psychers who exist in this, I guess, universe, but the top tier psyker is the Emperor, who apparently is God, because he can manipulate dimensions, and that makes, I guess, interstellar travel possible. And the history is that he made sure the humanity is at his peak. He colonized different part of universes and things. But where did he come from? Any detail about that?
Known as the Primarks. He created 18 Primarks to have them lead all of the different legions of humanity to the different stars and planets to help colonize and bring it out. These Primarks are basically like little versions of the Emperor. Not all of them are psychers, but a lot of them are very, very powerful, and they lead his special Space Marine legions. Then this big clusterfuck happened called the Horus Heresy, where the Emperor's favorite son, the Primarch, Horus, ended up joining Chaos and leading 9 of the 18, half of his Primarchs directly to Earth to fight down the Emperor himself. Now, if you want to know what Chaos is, remember what I mentioned earlier, the Warp, that Immaterium, the hellish place? In there relies the 4 Chaos gods. Imagine like Satan and 3 other Satans. The Warp being kind of evil, those Chaos gods, that's the reason. And so those Chaos gods manipulated Horus, and then Horus helped manipulate all 8 other Primarchs to lead this giant coup directly on the Emperor.
Wait a minute, so these Chaos gods, is the Emperor one of them? Because he's the top tier psyker, whatever, and he can manipulate that kind of dimension. Is he one of them? But he's just one of the guys who can manipulate it, but he's not god of it, so he's not part of the Chaos gods. Are Chaos Guard more powerful than the Emperor?
Emperor on Earth, and they fucked up shit. After this huge civil war, Horus died, but not before brutally wounding the Emperor, and right at the end of his life, they put the Emperor on this large golden throne on Earth, in which he is now alive, just barely, but slowly rotting away, powering something called the Astronomicon, so long as he stays alive, and is fed 1,000 people a day. The Astronomicon is like the North Star. If you want to do interstellar travel in 40k, you need to pass through that demonic warp I mentioned earlier. But how do you know where you're going? Well, the Emperor is there putting a nice little navigator right there. He helps navigate you to know where you're going. If you want to go from Earth to some crazy solar system across the way, you need to go through that warp, and then you need to know where you're going, go through there, and pop your way out. It's like doing nether travel in Minecraft, so you can shorten the distance between going to areas. So long as the Emperor...
So wait a minute, is Emperor... are people keeping the Emperor alive so they can interstellar travel, basically? Or Emperor are still in charge and Emperor is telling people to do things? Because he's barely alive, he's rotting away. But they need to sacrifice 1,000 souls just to keep him barely alive. So is he writhing in pain and people are just using him, or he is still in charge and is telling people what to do?
Emperor is alive and being fed 1,000 people a day to stay alive, you can do that. The moment he dies, interstellar travel's gone for all of humanity. You're so boned. Now, since the Horus Heresy 10,000 years ago, the Imperium has fallen from grace substantially. All technology has started to dwindle and die. There is now giant fundamental religious extremists that now believe the Emperor of Mankind was a deity, a true living god, which is probably the last thing the Emperor would have wanted to be remembered for. So now you have this thing called the Ecclesiarchy, which is...
Why? Why the Emperor didn't want it to be remembered for as a god?
This giant church entirely devoted to spreading the good word of the Emperor. He is now the Holy Emperor God, the God Emperor of mankind, and all of the Imperium has taken up worshipping him to the fullest extent and killing anything that isn't humanity in his name. The Imperium has this futuristic gothic tone to it and a hefty religious zealotry to them. If you think anything against the Emperor, that's heresy and you deserve to die. That is called being a heretic. Heretics die in 40k. There is no such thing as freedom of religion. There is no such thing as freedom of speech, so long as you...
Yeah, I get that point when you say 1,000 souls needs to be sacrificed. I'm pretty sure lots of people don't want to die, but I think they wouldn't have given them choice. So I guess lots of freedom goes out of the window. And obviously no freedom of religion, because these people just believe he's God at the end, nobody speak anything of it. That makes sense, since, you know, after the heresy and the war that happened, lots of technology is lost, but lots of, you know, scientific advancements are not happening. So people are stuck with what they have. And since people cannot advance a frontier and can't, I guess, you know what they have and how to interstellar, because they have to feed this god. By then people are starting to think like, oh, that's a god and we should worship him. That's where this kind of a mentality comes from. When you don't have know-how to, I guess, advance a scientific field, advance anything, but you just are stuck with certain technology, and that is a thing that basically lets you interstellar travel, you're gonna see that thing as a god. I mean, it makes sense.
Are against the Emperor. There is no such thing as any kind of tolerance. Everyone is a religious zealot. Some more than others, but no matter what, you preach in that good word. So right now, everyone in humanity is trying to expand their empire across the stars. If you are a heretic, someone who doesn't believe in the Emperor, you are deserving of death. If you believe in the Chaos Gods, you are also a heretic and you deserve death. If you are an alien race of any kind, you are a filthy Xenos and you deserve death as well. So long as the murder continues and humanity expands, the Imperium of Man is very, very happy. However...
I love this, man. First of all, in any alien interstellar type of story, humanity has always seen like, you know, good enough guy at least, or the protagonist at least. In this one, humanity is that kind of a Nazi type of just killing everything that is not human, which is not part of Imperium of Man. And we are bad guy, but so is everybody. But still, you know, we are killing these aliens because we are evil. Humanity is evil. This is awesome. I've never seen any story who's like this.
The largest fighting force of this Imperium is my personal favorite faction, and the first faction we will discuss, the Astra Militarum, or also known as the Imperial Guard.
Pretty shit now, man. You finished? That's it, man. Game over, man.
The Imperial Guard is the main fighting force of the Imperium, and in a world of horrifying creatures, galactic monstrosities, the literal demons themselves breaking through the fabric of time to kill you, the Imperial Guard are untold billions of regular men and women wearing modern day like flak armor with a laser rifle. This is the humble las gun, the main weapon of the Imperial Guard. It fires superheated plasma lasers at an extremely fast fire rate. It is reliable, never jams. It can blow off limbs, giant holes in concrete. It is overall an extremely devastating weapon in modern day. It is one of the weakest in the 40k universe. Yeah, a laser rifle that never jams, it could blow off limbs, one of the weakest weapons. That's the world we're in right now. But who cares? Because the Imperial Guard has, in each battle, 500,000 of these men and women.
Okay, so this is the main force of Imperium Man, right? But they have such a weak-ass weapon, but there are so many of them, it doesn't matter. It's like, you know, how Russia fought in World War I. Just number is enough, I guess. That's how the mentality is.
30,000 large armored tanks, 10,000 artillery batteries. The Imperial Guard wins through sheer numbers and firepower. They kind of have this World War I, World War II style aesthetic with legions of guardsmen as well as high company commanders and generals on the field along with them, and multiple kinds of troops. A normal Imperial Guard battle starts off with artillery, long lines of artillery, cracking the crust of the planet underneath the enemy's feet. And as this barrage continues, hundreds of thousands of guardsmen, a sea of guardsmen surges forward, firing and charging at everything possible while the planet rumbles as tanks roll up behind them. Gunships block out the sun and tanks block out the dirt with the steps and hoofprints of millions of guardsmen.
Alright, hold up there. First, I was just about to say, like, this is your favorite faction? Really? It's just some weak-ass weapon and just overpowering. But then he started to put this image in my head. Like, okay, they are going against the planet. And they are so much in numbers. Their equipment are also so much in number. Artillery, everything. So when they attack, the planet's crust itself starts to crumble. That is a holy shit level of power. Damn, I can't even process that. Yeah, I mean, they have some, you know, basic equipment, but so much of that equipment is there. They are actually causing geological earthquakes and rumbling of the crust itself. And then the tanks come. There are so many tanks. The entire, you know, Earth shakes or something. Entire planet shakes. Now I see why it's his favorite faction, because that is just awesome.
It is through numbers and sheer sundering firepower. They are the first and last line of defense for the Imperium and make up a huge bulk of the battles. The Imperial Guard is also made up of tons of different kinds of regiments. The Cadian jungle fighters live in a death world that's more hospitable than almost any firefight they'll ever get into. So they just have this steroid-looking, giant knife, Rambo Predator-looking sons of bitches where nothing is anywhere near as scary as a simple knight on their home planet. You have the Valhallan winter soldiers who haven't felt their toes in 300 years, the Mordian Iron Guard who are more interested in making their shoes shine than actually fighting a battle, and then of course the big one, the Cadians from Cadia. The biggest export of guardsmen in the entirety of the Imperium. You will fire your first gun at 5. You will disassemble and reassemble it at 10. You will have pounding artillery drills day in and day out at 15. And you'll fight your first Swarm Lord at 16. And if you mention Cadia, you will burst into an unrelenting amount of tears and sadness like I do daily. To quote I have at my command an entire battle group of the Imperial Guard, 50 regiments including specialized drop troops, stealthers, mechanized formations, armored companies, combat engineers, and mobile artillery. Over 500,000 fighting men and 30,000 tanks and artillery pieces are mine to command. Emperor, show mercy to the fool that stands against me, for I shall not. The Imperial Guard are my personal favorite faction in 40k. They're the army I collect the most, the ones I enjoy playing the most, and the one I enjoy in the lore sense a lot. There's something about just a regular man with a laser rifle being told to charge the horrors of this universe and willingly doing so for his god emperor. It's just poetic. They actually represent the main...
Yeah, I mean, that is so... Not to mention that power of them comes from the sheer number. That is just awesome. You know, psychoanalyzing, I would think, like, if this is the kind of grim world you live in, what is the motivation for you to fight at that number, knowing that you just have basic rifle, you probably will die because there's so many of you. I mean, and you know, world is so dark that there is war all the time. There is no hope for peace anywhere, right? It's grim dark world. So what is the, I guess, since they're zealot, right? I mean, they believe in God for everything. I guess their mentality must be like, for God, I must do this. This is my calling or something like that. Like how religious zealot people are. Maybe that's the thing.
You know, Imperial Guard tactics pretty well. Large amounts of artillery that doesn't require a line of sight, lots of tanks, tons of infantry, drop troops, and gunships. Overall, they're pretty similar to how they sound, though a little bit expensive to collect, unfortunately. And they don't hit a lot. They have a bit of a bad aim, but you don't really care because you're just drowning them in shots. However, if you want more accurate fire and specialization, we can move on to talk about Spetsmarines.
Okay, you know what? This video's been for 30 minutes. I think we're gonna stop there. It's good that he put on chapters there, right? Next time we're gonna tackle Angels of Death. This video alone will take, what, 3 videos to make, and that is also second part. God knows. I'm gonna have to take, what, 6-7 video part of this. This is damn long. And I hope in the end I remember everything. I mean, so far I do, right? I mean, this is awesome. The details, the lore that is coming is awesome. Imperial of Man, there is God, who basically was a king once, but he was, you know, psyker, so somebody who can manipulate this, you know, different dimension. Then that dimension has a certain section of God, chaos gods or something, who manipulated his sons and created this entire war. So, you know, for the reference part, it kind of feels somewhat similar to me as Elder Scrolls about how Aedra and Daedra were, right? There is war about that. I mean, not complete similarities, but at least I can imagine the picture, like different dimension, somebody who can manipulate different dimension, and he's a powerful, so he became a god in the end, but his sons are also got manipulated by this dimension's gods, chaos gods, and so there is, you know, friction between them. So I guess there are going to be more wars in the future, because this same chaos gods would try to manipulate more people to, I guess, assert their dominance. So far this has been awesome. An Imperium of Man, and you know, the soldiers, what they just said. The concept is so good, right? Simplicity. They are just simple. They have simple armor, simple weapon, but they are outnumbering. That is enough for them to be overpowering. I mean, that is so awesome. I'm gonna load the more faction comes, because they are the weakest in, you know, gunpowder basically. But there will be factions who are not overpowering, but their equipment, you know, armor and everything is way too devastating. I'm gonna fun watching that too. One thing I don't realize it, like Bethesda makes Elder Scrolls, right? Why isn't there a AAA company like that trying to make a Warhammer game? I know people said in the start of this video there is a game about Warhammer or something, but I bet it's not like Elder Scrolls and Fallout level of giant game with deep lore and with great developer and AAA funding or something like that. Because I think I would have known that if there was, because I know almost all good enough AAA games. I never come across any like that. So some developer like Bethesda or somebody has to, you know, tackle something like that. BioWare probably, I don't know, Obsidian with AAA funding should make some Warhammer deep lore game like that, because it would be so awesome.
The Angels of Death are up next. Space Marines are genetically engineered super soldiers and superhumans. They're given extra organs, their skin tissue is toughened, their bones are stronger, they're taller than the average
Super
person.
soldiers.
They're pretty massive people, and these are the specialized super soldiers that carry out a lot of the more specific tasks for the Imperium. And there's tons of legions of them. In fact, there's one per Primarch. Each Primarch, the Emperor's son, as I mentioned before, oversees their legion of Space Marines. The genetic upgrade they get is based on the genes of said Primarch. It's something called a gene seed. That's what brings them up to this like superhuman level. As stated, each Primarch has their own legion. Robot Girly Man has the Ultramarines, Jagatai Khan has the White Scars, Rogel Dorn has the Imperial Fists, Corvus Corax has the Raven Guard, and there's a whole bunch of other...
Okay, Jagatai Khan. Why are their names so different? Aren't this all the sons of one emperor? Why did he name them differently? I guess, you know, because he sent them to rule different worlds, not colonize, right? I said colonize and people corrected me that they didn't colonize, but they ruled over certain worlds and conquered it. So emperors sent them to conquer and rule certain worlds. So maybe depending on what kind of people lives there, that's how their name is, I guess. Jagatai Khan different. Otherwise, why would be so much of a different and diverse name like that if they all come from one emperor? And it's really fun to see how Space Marines will have different type of qualities because their quality comes from the genes of their, I guess, Primarch, the leader.
Side sections that are also extremely interesting and have a little bit more of a twist on the average Space Marines, which we will discuss in a bit. Humorously enough, I don't have a whole lot to say about Space Marines. They're superhumanly fast. In fact, it's been said that nothing that large should move that quick. These men in power armor moving at blazing fast speeds, their reflexes are faster, their skin is tougher. They are overall just extremely powerful soldiers. In fact, where they differ comes down to which Space Marine Legion we're talking about. For instance, the Ultramarines done by Robot Gilliman are the main blue boys, strong in almost every way, the jack of all trades kind of group that are a little bit too strong, and that's a lore problem, but the White Scars by Jagatai Khan are all about speed freaks, go fast. We're talking attack bikes, we're talking land speeders.
Is that because Jagatai Khan is like that? Because, you know, his gene is passed among them. That's what gives them this kind of ability, right? So I guess if you see what legions are what and what qualities they have, you can trace that back to their Primarch, like how their Primarch would be, I guess. And in a Astartes video that I reacted to, this all the power of those were Space Marines, huh?
You want to go in quick, you want to hit them hard, you want them to be swarming around like buzzflies. Buzzsaws. With the speed of buzzsaws. Fuck you, Pale King. Salamanders love fire. Fire in the forge, fire in battle. Flamers, melta-guns, multi-meltas. Just so long as something can be burning, that's big. And they're also actually some of the nicest of the Space Marines. A lot of Space Marines have this kind of like holier-than-thou thing because of their genetic strength. However, the Salamanders tend to put human lives above the lives of themselves, which is actually rather rare. They're also all black, but not like just regular black, like 2 a.m. line at a White Castle. Black. Like they have a charcoal, dark, ashy exterior and blazing red eyes. Apparently something about living on their home planet of Nocturne, which I don't know if that makes much sense, but who cares? This is like fantasy land anyway.
Yeah, this is gonna be easier for me to remember. Green armor, charcoal face, red glowing eyes. These are the people who apparently have certain code that they make sure that even they'll sacrifice themselves for the human lives, apparently.
Overall, Salamanders are actually one of my personal favorite legions because they're just really cool. They're fun to play as because of all their flamer weapons, and they have a nice, like, more heartwarming lore as opposed to being super evil like everyone else is. Oh my god, we're not even a quarter of the way through the Space Marine legions. Imperial Fists believe in the power of the siege and defensive positions. Raven Guards, master of stealth and sabotage while having bird
Looks
helmets.
like that.
Iron Hands, masters of machines and vehicles while being really goddamn good at being sold on eBay after one nerf. Space Wolves, Vikings and wolves and tons of wolves and axes, battle axes, fur everywhere. Space Wolves, angry, big teeth, Blood Angels. Angels, the genetic defect to make them want to drink blood and go crazy, called the Red Thirst. They have Cupid wings and stuff. It's a little bit strange, and they are all super gay for Sanguinius. Dark Angels are old school knights and inner circle theme and...
Are you a heretic?
Me? No, never. Once in a blue moon, I know.
Death Watch, a fancy anti-Xenos group that nobody plays because Death Watch, and they look cool though, but no one plays them. I don't know about Death Watch. They're there though. Black Templars, for the people who, if you haven't prayed at least 3 times a day, you're gonna start praying out that airlock. And I'm sure there's some other chapters I may have missed as well, like Crimson Fists and stuff, but those are the main ones right here. Here, quote.
God, I'm imagining, you know, the Elder Scrolls Skyrim or any, you start and there is a character build-up menu, you choose different races. Imagine you're Space Marine and choosing different Space Marine. Obviously, there is plus and minus point to everything, but you choose how you play your character. And it's like Elder Scrolls, right? This whole game of Warhammer 40k, probably multiple planets, with some kind of a plot line that is pretty important, like I don't know, like how Emperor's sons fought and created this war with the Chaos Guard, some like that massive scale war is happening too or something like that. And in this Warhammer 40k lore, obviously it's gonna be hard to pin down because it's such a deep lore. Developers would probably have to put way too much effort into it. But imagine that, but we are, like I said, one of the Space Marines, because why would be just simple common soldiers? That doesn't make sense. So yeah, elite soldiers, Space Marines, but we have to choose which faction we are from, and I guess world shapes based on that. You have, this is an RPG, action RPG. God, that would be so good.
From the Emperor himself. They shall be my finest warriors, these men who give of themselves to me. Like clay I shall mold them, and in the furnace of war I shall forge them. They shall be of iron will and steely sinew. In great armor I shall clad them, and with the mightiest weapons shall they be armed. They will be untouched by plague or disease, no sickness shall blight them. They shall have such tactics, strategies, and machines that no foe will best them in battle. They are my bulwark against the terror. They are my defenders of humanity. They are my Space Marines, and they shall know no fear. And on the tabletop, they fuck. Oh, they fuck hard. As of making this video, Space Marines are like...
Emperor, how about you loosen up Space Marine a bit, but give your Imperium Guards a bit better equipment and weapon. Not too much, but just a bit of upgrade, rather than having some basic weapons.
Laughably strong. That might change at some point, but overall, Space Marines just have the... It's like a Swiss Army knife, a tool for anything you need, except it's like a gold-plated Swiss Army knife. It is extremely strong. If you are actually getting into the tabletop of Warhammer, Space Marines are a great start. Also, whatever gameplay style you have, whether you want to be sit back with long range and heavy weaponry, go fast and run in, or even just full melee, all of these options are totally there for you. Space Marines are super badass, but unfortunately, it's time we start praying to our new god, the 2011 Honda Civic.
So is it any
What?
wonder people are afraid
Adeptus
of
Mechanicus.
Technology! The Adeptus Mechanicus. The Adeptus Mechanicus are a technophile cult on Mars. Now, these people are a little bit weird because they don't actually really believe in the Emperor of Mankind. And you might think, oh, whoa.
Heresy!
That sounds like some heresy.
Yeah.
A little bit. They believe in the Emperor, they believe in his power, but they don't pray to him. They pray to something called the Omnissiah. And the Omnissiah is this kind of machine god that they believe permeates in all machines.
That was still
and
heresy.
If you think, well, wait a minute, they believe in a different god as well? That sounds like super heresy.
Yeah.
Well, yes-ish, but they also make all your guns, and they make all your tanks, and they make everything that you have. So you can't really tell them to fuck off?
Oh god, the way he said it, it was so epic. Yeah, it's super heresy, but they also make every shit that you need, basically. What you're gonna do? It's like China, that is the situation today, right? With the USA, China, and all the other countries. Yeah, you hate what China's doing in China, but yeah, they make every shit you need. I can imagine, you know, one of these, you know, Martian people basically walking in that temple that they created for the Emperor, walking inside that temple and just saying, yeah, Emperor is really powerful, is really strong, he's just badass, interstellar tower and everything, but he's no god. Everybody just and just stares at them, and he just looks around and like, you're not gonna do shit, are you? Because you all are my bitches.
Because you're not going to win nothing if you don't got stuff to shoot people with. See, their Omnissiah at least makes sense from their standpoint. They believe it to be a deity that permeates through all machines. Your Honda Civic, your standard bolt gun, your Dune Strider walker, your giant mechs, your huge ships. The Omnissiah is present
Everything?
through all. And the only reason your stuff works is because the machine's spirit in it says it works. If you want your gun to work, your tank to run, you must pray to it. And I mean full stop. You need to start chanting in high Gothic. You need to burn incense. You need to sit on your knees and pray to that car. You need to rub oil on your robes, and you need to go, ahomina, homina, 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 homina. Full stop. If you want your damn thing to work, if you want...
Okay, I don't want to pause too much. People sometimes say that. But is this just what they believe in, or is this actually true? Right? Like, if people don't pray about that equipment, does that equipment fail? But if they pray, the equipment just stays pristine. Did people test it out, or is it just something that those people believe in? Is it reality, or they just believe in that shit?
Want your gun to fire, you need to do that. They are very bizarre, and they actually have a bit of a point because it's obviously working. And if you look at them, I don't know how that works. So they obviously know something about what they're doing. The most notable member of the Adeptus Mechanicus is Archmagos, whatever, Belisarius Call. Look at this dude. Look at this dude. Yeah.
Look at this shit. There is some kind of a siren type of thing. There's some kind of a Tesla coils type thing is working there. God damn. I mean, you know, people say take things, very loosely about Bricky, but I don't know. I guess I'm going to take his word because I have no other alternative right now. So probably this shit works, right? The praying is working. So there is a God for all this equipment. So God of equipment exists. I guess they are not just believing in something like that. So probably one of the dimensions there is a God, I guess. Like how there are chaos gods, some gods who basically make your equipment work too. I like that because I'm remembering all these things, I guess, based on the already lores that I know of, like how there is lores of Fallout, there's lores of Elder Scrolls, like how in Elder Scrolls there are Daters and Aeters. So I'm picturing like that, like there are chaos gods in dimensions, there are in certain dimensions there could be gods that are also, make sure that your equipment is pristine, they pray to that probably, who knows. And the super soldiers remain like, the super mutants type of thing. They were made to be stronger, faster, and things like that. I don't know. I know it's not something to compare with, but it's easier for me to, I guess, remember and understand.
This is the group we're talking about. These are these weirdos. Here, the Omnissiah Creed. The credo, Omnissiah. There is no truth in flesh, only betrayal. There is no strength in flesh, only weakness. There is no constancy in flesh, only decay. There is no certainty in flesh, but death.
That is true.
Flesh is weakness, flesh is death. The Omnissiah is the god of the machines, and if you wish to be whole, if you wish to be holy, if you wish to give unto him, you must saw down your limbs and remove your organs and replace them with mechanical parts, because that is what he wants, and that is how you will become enlightened. Hard technophiles mixed with religious extremism. Adeptus Mechanicus. Now for their army side of things, they are with the Sakhitari. The Sakhitari operate with very bizarre weaponry and lots of different kinds of vehicles, tanks, and different people.
A railgun?
They're very weird, but they have extremely wacky and enjoyable, and in fact quite effective both in the real game and in the lore, weaponry and gear. Overall, as an army on the tabletop, they're very weird and have a whole bunch of different shenanigans, but if you like kind of that quirky, wacky techno thing, I'd give them a pickup. Hell, They're so paranoid. I gotta keep going. They're so paranoid and crazy. These Dune Striders you see right here, one guy was able to make them work. One guy, and he died. And they're so scared they'll never work again that they keep them on and they never turn them off, and they run around in a circle the whole time until they need them, and then they corral it and they go into battle. Yep. The Adeptus Mechanicus. Now, if you want to talk about...
What? That just went over my head. What the hell was he talking about there?
Keep going. They're so paranoid and crazy. These Dune Striders you see right here, one guy was able to make them work. One guy, and he died. And they're so scared they'll never work again that they keep them on and they never turn them off, and they run around in a circle the whole time until they need them, and then they corral it and they go into battle.
Oh.
Yep.
So this equipment right here, the guy who was making them, I guess, keep making them work, died. So they are paranoid that it might not start up again. So they don't shut it off. They keep it on all the time and make sure it runs in circles. And then they take it and go to battle whenever they need it. Damn, that detail is so awesome.
The Adeptus Mechanicus. Now, if you want to talk about faith, though, let's talk about the Sisters of Battle.
A simp has fallen for an e-girl in Lego City.
The Sisters of Battle of the Adeptus Sororitas, if that's how I pronounce it correctly, is an all-female group of battle sisters going through the Ecclesiarchy section of the Imperium. The Ecclesiarchy is, of course, the church. This is, imagine a private army of the church, which is scary.
So basically how there was killer nuns in that Hitman series, kind of like that. They are part of the church, but they also have to defend the faith of the church, something like that.
And it is. The sisters are an extremely zealotous force, and they take this to a full extreme. They believe in three main things: faith, martyrdom, and fire. Through the bolter, the flamer, and the melta, the Sisters of Battle are extremely potent at taking out chaos and heretics. Mainly heretics, because as they are a fighting section of the Ecclesiarchy Church, that's the big thing they want to kill. Any form of heretic will face the Emperor's justice through those three main weapons: the bolter, the flamer, and the melta, and they will do so with extreme prejudice.
Damn.
Literally. They are the closest things we have to nuns in space. And I'm talking hardcore nuns. They carry holy fire on their backs. They have holy books and sigils all across their armor. Their main battle tank is a fucking pipe organ missile launcher. They have small babies that they have removed their brain capacity to make them little servant cherubs to fly around and give them ammunition and shit.
Oh. There comes the grimdark part of that. Ah, that detail, that small detail right there. They take the small babies, remove their brain or something, make them this kind of a husk that just helps them. That's how they look. Oh god. I mean, yeah, he just started the video saying that they sacrifice 1,000 souls a day for the Emperor, so why is this too much, right? I mean, when you say grimdark and lots of people just get sacrificed like that, I mean, shit like this is expected, I guess, but still.
They drop churches from low orbit as mini drop pods onto battles. They drop churches into battles, and they blare war hymns and holy music from their frigates in low atmosphere and
funny.
Shower holy water across the battlefield. These are the people you are dealing with, and they're fucking awesome. They can
But wait a minute. Isn't Emperor just a powerful guy who didn't want it to be God, but ironically just became God? So how does this holy water and everything works? But I guess there's a debate there that maybe Emperor is a god because everybody thinks of him as a god, and after all this shit and after sacrificing so much soul, he became a god. So that's why holy water and all this nuns things is actually working. Otherwise it's just something that they pretend to do without otherwise having an actual effect. But I think, Emperor did become a god, even though he probably didn't want to after doing everything else. And that's why all these things is working.
Literally stave off demons. On the tabletop because their faith is that strong. Remember the warp, the demons from the warp? Well, the warp also manifests in your mind. All of your emotions, negative and positive, go through the warp. It's the immaterium, the place of all things. So if you are that mentally fortified, that mentally strong, you can stave off horrifying demons. And all these girls, oh, not a crack. Not a crack in that mental armor. Now, as much as a meme as they are, and as much as their models look a lot like Ongo Gabloglian, yeah, which I can't unsee anymore, I gotta say, I love their design.
Seriously, I mean, if this is true, right? If warp also, resides in your brain, your thought and everything, but if you're strong here, you can make sure the warp stays away and all the demons and everything, and basically you can fight them because of that, because you're strong here. And these nuns are, right? And they are really, fanatic like that. Like they believe in the church and emperor so much that they would literally go into any length to do anything to, I guess, defeat the enemy, heretics, demons. I guess they are, special holy force, right? But it actually works.
I think they're extremely cool. They're another army that I'm currently collecting. They just released a whole new line of figures very recently, and they look wonderful. Everything from Celestine, the living, literally undying saint, from the triumph of Saint Catherine, which is literally a funeral procession as a model, those organ tanks I mentioned earlier. This shit is the most over-the-top badassery in a lot of the Warhammer universe, and goddamn it, is it over the top.
So what would happen if, those super soldiers, right? They go against this right here, these nuns. I mean, first of all, the super soldiers are really OP, like he said, right? They are game-breakingly OP. So are they more powerful than the nuns, or they are really specific, like they fight battles and armies, sure. But when it comes to demons and things like that, these nuns are more powerful. Is that it?
But Sisters of Battle are so cool. While I'm a guardsman at heart, this is such a cool faction. By Bolter Shell, Flamer Burst, and Melta Blast, the mutant, the heretic, and the traitor alike are cleansed of their sin of existence. So it has been for 5 millennia, so shall it be until the end of time. And speaking of burning demons,
I can see!
I can fight!
the Bray Knights are the first army I actually collected back in 7th edition. The Bray Knights are a super secretive and much more old school look at power armored knights, except they are all psychers. All of them have that crazy space magic magician shit. For every 100...
They are psychers like the Emperor? Obviously the Emperor would be more powerful, more powerful psyker, but they are psychers, so wouldn't that automatically make them really powerful already because they are psychers, they can manipulate that warp dimension?
1,000 guardsmen, there's 1 Grey Knight. For every 10,000 Sisters of Battle, there's 1 Grey Knight. For every 1,000 Space Marines, there's 1 Grey Knight.
I guess they are powerful than all of them because they literally lead them. One of them, I guess. They are literally, special powerful forces.
Bray Knights are the strongest of the strong, both in mental will and absolute just strength. These are Space Marines that are all high-level psychers, all of them able to specifically do one goal, and that is kill demons. The Emperor believed that the demons of chaos were the #1 threat to the Imperium, and he probably is right. However, this group is entirely based on doing that through a myriad of tactics. Coming from the planet, or I guess the moon of Titan in the Sol system, the Grey Knights are thrown through extremely rigorous training and are as clear of mind and soul as they possibly can be.
I love how they put actually effort into it. It's not like they come from some different dimension. No, they come from some part of Earth. No, fuck that. They come from Titan. And then those mechanical, those guys, or they come from Mars. I like how they're putting in details. So, I said about the game that somebody should make, AAA game, where it starts as a Space Marine or something. And that, you know, what if the arc also has like eventually by doing certain things, as I don't know, making an exemption or something, you eventually can become a psyker like the Grey Knights. Oh, that would be so good.
Since the demons of the warp are the warp and your mind projects to the warp, people can go insane very fast, especially lower level psychers. These Grey Knights need to be able to harness the warp in the presence of demons and stay perfectly sane. One of their characters, one of my favorite characters, is named Castellan Crow. He has a demon blade, the black blade of Mahamahama, and he has to have it on him because it tempts everyone nearby, constantly beckoning them. Use my power, use my strength, suck my penis, whatever the possibility. And so he has to keep it on him all the time as this thing whispers to him consistently, and he has to stave it off forever, being alone in his chambers or on the battlefield, because anyone who gets too close to it might be tempted a little too hard. He is that pure of heart and mind, and all.
God damn, so it's like Lord of the Rings ring, right? And in Elder Scrolls there was a sword that makes it, basically tells you to do stuff, right? One of the Daedric swords. It's like that.
The characters in the Grey Knights are basically like that. The only issue is that Grey Knights have a scorched earth policy, more ways than one. If they're fighting demons, demons corrupt and make people crazy. So if I'm a guardsman and I'm fighting demons and the Grey Knights arrive and they kill all the demons, I'm a risk.
Oh!
So guess who's not making it out of there? On the tabletop, they're very strike fast, strike hard kind of people.
So Grey Knights are not everybody like fighting like, you know, I guess Imperium Guard or whatever, whoever is fighting on the battlefield. Oh, look at this, Grey Knights are, oh shit, I guess we're gonna die too.
They teleport all around the place. They are fast strike groups, small amounts of models because they're so dang strong. You only have so many characters, but with it, you get in there, you're very tough, very tanky, you hit really hard, and you try to bounce around the battlefield quickly, but you don't have numbers, and so every dead Grey Knight hits really damn hard. They're fun, though, if you like that kind of fast-striking kind of army. Oh, and also, Caldor Drago is a thing. We're not even going to get into Caldor Drago. All right, that is, oh my goodness gracious. I am the hammer. I am the mail about his fist. I am the spear in his hand. Though we are lost, I am the shield on his arm. I am the flight of his arrows. I am the hammer. I am the sword. I am the shield. I am a soldier at the battle at the end of time. Grey Knights are pretty hardcore.
Damn.
They are as holy as you can get for a Space Marine. If you like Space Marines and you want to, you don't think they're holy enough, you want to be holier? Grey Knights.
Yeah.
And you want to be holier and big. Let's talk Imperial Knights.
Oh, there's also Imperial Knights. God damn. Alright, again, we reached the 30-minute mark. That's it, I guess, for now. God. This is just... this was so good. This part that I did was so good because I learned about those Martian people who basically entire this emperor and his everybody, I guess, entire empire basically relies on them for equipment, A to Z, everything. Any equipment, any mechanical equipment, they deliver. So they can openly just say, we don't believe you as a god, we believe this other god, god of machines. And in this kind of a strong religious, strong empire where anybody heretic basically dies, they can't do shit about it because they rely on them, right? So they personally probably hate them. Like, holy shit, how do they not accept our emperor as the god? But I guess we need my gun and I guess armor and shit. Otherwise, what are we going to do? That is so good. That small detail is so good. And then there are nuns who basically badass nuns, right? And they are so mentally strong that they can fight off demons without getting corrupted. Then, Grey Knights, right? What was their name? Grey Knights? Yeah, the Grey Knights, who are Space Marines, those badass Space Marines that we just saw. Space Marine alone are way too overpowering, but they are even more powerful than that. So among thousands of Space Marine, there's only one Grey Knight, but he's so badass, right? These Grey Knights are so badass, but lower tier Grey Knights who are psychers basically has a chance to get corrupted. because demons and the psychers being manipulating warp. If you're not strong enough, demons can basically corrupt your mind. So you have to be really powerful psyker to I guess be badass at that area. I guess that small detail is also awesome. Damn, I'm loving this so far. Warhammer 40k. I thought I'm gonna have a hard time understanding this, at least watching it first, but since I know about some other lores too and I'm finding some similarities, it's easier to understand where everything is going so far. So far I understood everything like this. So I hope after finishing both of these parts, Bricky, I'll remember and understand everything. And even then people are telling me this is just basic stuff. There are other channels and videos that goes even more in depth. I guess I'm going to tackle that too. Fuck it. If I'm starting this, I'm going to finish Warhammer 40k in detail. I don't care how long it takes.
Do you like gigantic walkers the size of homes or medium-sized buildings? Do you want to kill heretics, but you want to kill like 40 of them per turn? Do you want a gigantic old-school knight noble house style of walkers with giant chainsaw arms? Then you got Imperial Knights. Imperial Knights, it's not a whole lot to talk about them because they're just gigantic walkers, but they have this old-school like house feel to them, like literally like they're houses. Each Imperial Knight comes from a house, and each of them act in their own special way. These behemoth of walkers also destroy almost everything in their path, killing full swaths of squads in a couple shots, stepping on legions of troops. Like, these things do not mess around. And they look so cool. Imperial Knights and Chaos Knights, actually, for that matter, don't have a whole lot to discuss. They're just super big, heavy walkers, and they look different depending on your house or Chaos God you currently believe in. And overall, these things are just really cool if you want to murder everything in your path. They're the big, scary, big unit.
Wait a minute. Are they not part of Imperium of Man? This Imperial Knights, this gigantic creatures. Are they not part of Imperium of Man under Emperor? Because, how could they, they have different belief with the Chaos Gods? Isn't that automatically heresy? Like, no god is god apart from the Emperor. That's the whole thing of Imperium of Man, isn't it?
Of Warhammer, and if you want to collect them, go to town. They make for a great painting project too. Getting more back down to earth, let's talk something about a little bit different, a little more gold. If guardsmen are regular soldiers, Space Marines are super soldiers, Grey Knights are super soldiers, the Adeptus Custodians are super soldiers cubed. The Adeptus Custodians are the third major army I own. I know, 3 armies. I know, I got carried away, okay? But that's all. I only have 3, okay? They are our final brand of Space Marines, but these ones are super special. Okay, if a guardsman is 6 foot, a Space Marine is 7 feet, a Custodian is 8 feet. These are the giant defenders of Holy Terra, which is also Earth. Earth is Terra, Terra.
Yeah.
Themselves. These are the people that literally guard the Emperor's throne room, hence Custodians. These boys protect the Emperor's throne room at all times and are literally like handcrafted.
Oh, okay, so like Royal Guards, really specialized, really badass, one of the most experienced soldiers, but their job is the most important of them all, I guess, protecting the Emperor. So basically they have to be more badass than anything else out there to protect, or at least badass enough to protect the Emperor.
People. They're not humans brought up by a gene seer or something. These are all handcrafted super soldiers. I think from a tube. These behemoth of men are like 8 feet, 8.5 feet tall, and functionally immortal. They stand still, spear in hand, for hundreds of years without the need to sleep and barely even the need to eat, watching over the throne room and every other area of Holy Terra for their entire purpose in life.
Damn.
And oh my lord, are they terrifying. These Custodians put Space Marines to shame. If you liked your super soldiers, these are your super mega soldiers. One of these men can take on probably 3 Space Marines and most likely win. There are many different groups of Custodians as well, like the Solar Watch, or there's also one of my personal favorite, the Aquilan Shield. The Aquilan Shield go out to seemingly unimportant individuals and protect them because they believe that they are going to be doing something very important in their lives. For instance, let's say a regular guardsman gets the protection of this giant 8.5 foot tall golden god, because that guardsman will end up becoming a general one day or something of that nature. The custodians work in mysterious ways and are almost always...
Holy shit. So their job is to protect the most important assets of Holy Terra, right? So they protect Emperor, obviously, but they also protect somebody who's going to be important one day. So that's kind of something, right? Like some common guy walking around and see this gigantic golden creature just saying they're protecting them. They'll be like, oh shit, I'm gonna be something now. Because this makes sense then, doesn't it?
He's outnumbered, but never outmatched. These people are pretty horrifying, both on the tabletop as well as in the lore. There are very few of them, however, and there's actually an extremely small amount of them. But that's kind of the point. There's only so many of these people that can have war gear this strong, weapons this powerful, and training this good. And the custodians have all three of it. For 100 years, I stood my watch amidst the somber shadows of the Sanctum Imperialis. I was still as a statue, but always ready, always attuned to dangers unseen. Days, months, years passed by in a frenzied blur beyond those walls, yet within, little moved and nothing changed. For 100 years, I did not but wait, yet had any threat appeared, I would have struck it down in a heartbeat. For 100 years, I stood my watch, and as it ends, I can tell you this: patience is a weapon. The custodians are the top dogs.
I'm just trying to process that. He stood there for hundreds of years, and nothing happened. For 100 years, nothing happened. He was just standing there. Talking about fucking boring. But yeah, this just shows the level of discipline and mental strength this gods have. And it kind of makes sense, right? Because, this is the trope in that sense. Like, Emperor's God, who has to be better than anything out there. That kind of mentality. They're stronger mentally and physically.
Of the Imperium, and they hurt just that same way. Though I do want to discuss a little bit about the Sisters of Silence before we get out of here. Because the Sisters of Silence I also have a few of, and they're really fun, but they don't get enough attention. These kind of bald plume ladies are a whole group of pariahs, or also known as blanks. We'll be referring to them as blanks from now on. So as every mind is somewhat connected to the warp, these blanks are a genetic mutation that has it suppressed heavily. Because of that mind suppression, normal people feel this weird, like, uncomfortable nature when around them. When a Sister of Silence walks past them, you feel ill. You feel just uncomfortable and strange. So most of them don't actually live past childhood, because once they are birthed, they're, well, killed or something at a very young age, because they just emit a horrifying aura. These ladies, however, are guardians of the throne as well for more psychic threats. See, none of the custodians are psychers, so they have a difficult time dealing with major demons and other kinds of psychic phenomena. These sisters are extremely specialized in it, all of them taking a vow of silence as they don't speak, hence the term Sisters of Silence, but they communicate through hand gestures and things of that nature. But if there's a demon issue, if there's any kind of warp-based problem, the sisters are extremely adept at dealing with them, thanks to their blank gene. They normally work a lot of time with the custodians because they have to deal with both kinds of threats, but they're not represented that way on the tabletop. In fact, they only have like one real model for them, which is very unfortunate. I hope they'll get something new soon, because I think they should really be working together as it is that way in the lore, but hopefully we'll get there soon. But if we're talking about blanks, let's talk assassins.
Alright, seriously though, why aren't they so famous? I mean, that is just right up the alley, right? They fight the demons of the warp, because custodians can't. I mean, that shit is cool, right? They are like, Emperor's Guard, but for demons. And the story is really, fucking deep and dark. That, they are born, but they, when they're born, they don't have connection with the warp as much. So everybody has connection with the warp. So to them, they feel like anomalies. So they suddenly start to feel like something's wrong here. They are not right. Start to feel ill. That's why lots of them don't even survive childbirth, because people kill them. God, that's dark. That is really fucked up when I try to process that. But yeah, they just walk by you and you feel something weird because you are connected to the warp, but they are not. So it's like they're anomaly in this world. or something like that. But that makes them really, really strong when it comes to any warp-related enemies, right? Because nuns are those nuns that we just saw before. Those nuns are, really mentally strong. These are not mentally strong, but, because they don't have to be. They don't have a connection to warp. Or even if there is, it's extremely suppressed. So they don't have to have discipline and, mental strength to keep everything guard. They don't need all that shit. They're already detached, so they are extremely effective when it comes to any creatures from the warp. That is this awesome story.
It's been a long video. We're about to round it out. We got this and one more human thing, and then we're done. The assassins, though, the Officio Assassinorum, oh boy, these people are deadly. Yeah, they're called assassins. They should be, but oh man. These people will mess you up. So these are from the Officio Assassinorum, a very special organization, and they are handpicked by the Grand Master of the Officio Assassinorum from the, what was it called? Schola Progenium. It's basically an orphan school. Your parents got murdered by demons or something, you get sent to this and you get trained to be whatever. Tempestus Drop Troop, an Inquisitor maybe even. Maybe you get a blank gene and you get thrown into the Sisters of Silence, or sometimes you just disappear. When you are taken, however, you go to one of 4 temples because the Assassinorum works in the temple style of things. These temples are the Vindicare, Caluxus, Calidus, and Eversor temples. Let's start with the Vindicare. I'm far away. I've been sitting here for 3 weeks. Poof! The Vindicator Temple is the main sniper-based temple. Gigantic sniper rifles for all these assassins. Their whole point is to be able to be in a spot and sit there, eye and scope, for weeks, waiting for the perfect target, taking people out from literal miles away after extremely long time periods. The Vindicator Temple is about precise, perfect aim. There have been reports of Vindicares being able to single out particular body parts from over 2-3 miles away. Temples in the head, the jugular, for instance, and been sitting there after weeks. And when they're ready, take that shot, time is done, packs them up. The Calidus Temple, however, is a lot more about shape-shifting and deviant art. It's mostly a female-based one, or at least it seems to be, and this allows a lot of body augmentation for certain individuals to be able to kind of transmorph themselves and infiltrate areas that are problems. These assassins will end up taking missions that take them years, 2-3 years, to infiltrate a heretical group and slowly work their way up, just to get enough time to put a bullet into the main target's head and then escape unharmed.
Ooh, I like this. The first one was your classic assassin sniper hitman style thing, right? Immensely accurate, which I fucking love. Whenever anything comes with a, precise sniper who's just, that badass, can kill anybody from 3 miles away, that's just fucking badass, right? But these are more like infiltrators, right? Who infiltrate like a spy game. Who infiltrate some certain factions, blends in, and when the time is right, they strike.
Or become the main target and sabotage it from within. These are all completely about deception, mind tricks, polymorphing, and everything in between. And lots of drawings. The Eversor Temple. Just kind of disturbing one. The Eversor Temple is about when you don't want anything to come back alive, friend or foe. You want it all dead. An Eversor is psychogenically conditioned with just psychotherapy and psychological torture to only feel violence, hatred, and anger. It does the Clockwork Orange style of thing of just making you forced to watch never-ending pain and misery and psycho conditioning, I guess is the term. And then they pump you full of tons of psychedelic drugs and they cryo-freeze you. And then they drop you in an area where they just want to make sure everything is dead. And then you defrost full of just all this insane, mind-boggling psychotherapy and psychedelic drugs, and you just go to town. Yeah, if you don't care if anyone comes back alive. You're like, all right, lost cause, send them in. Finally, there's the most bizarre temple, the
Oh god, that's an assassin, what he just said. Feels like a fucking super weapon, like, brainwashed, fucking, fucked in the head super weapon. Because it's like creating how perfect weapon. You just, you could take a man, pump him full of psychedelics, fucking brainwash him with all the torturous things, so he has nothing left but hatred and anger, and they just throw him somewhere, so it just goes and kills everything. That feels fucking terrifying.
Colossus Temple. The Colossus assassins are feared even among the other temples. So that blank gene, the people will go to the Colossus Temple with this as well. And this is where they can harness that to be massively anti-psyker or even just anti-regular people. They are seen with extreme fear and distrust among many, many people. They are described by the Eldar, by quote, as being pure evil. Imagine that uncomfortable feeling from that blank gene I mentioned, and then imagine them being taught and given equipment to amplify it by 100. If normally regular people feel uncomfortable, now they are basically akin to being a siren wailing directly in your ear. And if you're a psyker, oh no, the sheer presence of a Colossus assassin is enough for you to tear your skin off. You will rather gouge your eyes out and rip your nails off than even being near this person. The Colossus.
Oh, so let me get this straight. Anything that is not connected to the warp is automatically evil, or that's how the people who are connected to the warp thinks. Like everybody, your common humans and everybody who was connected to the warp, to them, these creatures, blanks, basically feels like something that is evil because they are not connected to the warp. And because of that, they create this thing here, which just creates this kind of psychological warfare, which is just turned all the way to 11. And psychers, so like Grey Knights and things, if they come across this thing, they'll be terrified. Is that it? Obviously, they would be more stronger and probably can, overcome it. But this would be really weak point for something like Grey Knights, right? This is just fucked up, man. It's just psychological warfare. Anything that is connected to the warp will start to feel terrified and feel like there's an evil presence here whenever things like this just walks by. Damn. The layers are so awesome. The layers and details that's created around the warp with the people that are connected to the warp, people who are not, they feel a bit of, the weird feel from that.
Colossus assassin is when you want psychers to literally lose their minds, and they will go on their knees and ask you to gun them down because it is a suitable choice over being anywhere near you. The motto of that temple is, that which is unknown and unseen commands the greatest fear.
Seriously.
Now, for the tabletop, assassins aren't that special. You can call them in no matter what.
The sentence is so good, right? And it speaks so true about, that which is unknown and unseen commands the greatest fear. That sentence is so fucking true, because all of our fear can be traced back to that. Unknown and unseen is what causes the biggest fear. Like if you think, if you go somewhere like in some kind of ruins or somewhere, and you see a dark corner, but you have this feeling that something is there, but you can't see it because it's dark. That gives you the biggest fear than any other thing that will ever give you fear, because of the unknown factor and unseen factor.
What Imperium faction you are, and they do a lot of work for themselves, but at the same time, they're very specialized and require a lot of finesse. And they work the way you generally want them to, though. You want to cause some distortion and weird stuff, you take a Calidus.
What would I choose? Look, if I were to be one of these people, I would definitely be the sniper, because this is like those spy game, can require a long time, and it has to be specifically tuned to that, sure. But a sniper is always fucking deadly from 2 miles away. This guy here, who basically they pump him with psychedelics and torture him, brainwash him so he knows nothing but to kill, that just feels fucked up. I mean, as a weapon, that's awesome, but you're no longer you anymore. That's just a weapon now. These things, right? I mean, these things work perfectly against anybody who's like psycho or connected to the warp and things like that. But I'm pretty sure they would start to feel, I don't know, against Space Marines or something like that, who would feel that they are terrifying, but they are not psychers like Grey Knights. So Space Marine could fuck things up, like fuck this thing up here, right? So I would be sniper, I think. I don't know.
You want to just murder swaths of infantry and then blow up Eversor. You want to kill that one guy, Vindicare, and if you have a lot of Psychers, Caluxus. It's a nice little, like, jack of all trades if you have a specific thing you want to kill. And you get to choose which is really fun. But now, let's talk about the last human faction. We can round this video out before we do part 2. The Inquisition. And we have a lot to talk about with them.
Well, on the subject of heresy!
Oh boy. Where do I even begin with the Inquisition? Take every secret police you can think of. The KGB, the Gestapo, the CIA, FBI, any of these kinds of people. And then mark it up by about 10 and give them the most power in the entire Imperium. No, you know what? How about this? This right here, it's not just a quote. This is the imperial motto, the motto of the Inquisition. I apologize for my bad pronunciation. Innocentia nihil probat. Innocence proves nothing.
What?
The most powerful organization in the Imperium, the secret police, their #1 motto is innocence proves nothing. The Inquisition goes around like the secret police or like detectives.
What does that mean, though? Innocence proves nothing. What does that even mean? If you're accused of being guilty, it gets reveals that you're innocent in that. I mean, how does that proves nothing? I guess results matter in that sense. Like, you're innocent. Who gives a fuck? Why didn't you, contributed some way with the scenario that happened? Something like that. I guess we don't care if you're innocent or not. We only care about the result. Like, you could have done something about this scene, but you didn't. Just being innocent enough is not something. Is that it?
To find issues in the Imperium. And they have different ordos depending on which one we're talking about. The Ordo Hereticus, the Ordo Xenos, the Ordo Malleus, for instance, and a whole bunch of other ones. Hereticus is obvious, they deal with heretics. Xenos tries to find alien threats, and Malleus is demons. They all have different specializations in what they're trying to go for as this Inquisitor. And that's what they're called, Inquisitors. Each of them, as an Inquisitor, has their own free reign to do as they wish. They may have a ship and a crew, and they go out to find problems and interrogate people a lot. They are above the law in every department over Space Marines. Now, the Space Marines might argue against them and stuff, and there might be a lot of blowback, but technically they are above them as Inquisitors. They are looking to investigate and figure out coups and cults and demonic incursions and possible Xenos issues like gene stealers or a new threat coming into an area. They're about learning that stuff and actually doing detective work. And memes aside, they're pretty good at it. The Inquisition having all of this power does make them a little bit power hungry and frantic sometimes. And yes, it is still a bad thing, but most of them are pretty good at their job. And they spend a lot of time being very diligent to make sure that all of these leads they follow are proper and correct. They're basically space detectives with just enormous power and sometimes a bit of a power complex. And we haven't even talked about Exterminatus yet. Exterminatus.
Yeah, so basically Inquisitors, these are more like a police, like he said, investigation type of group, like secret service type of thing. So far, what we talk about Space Marine things, you can call them as like a military, right? Imperial Guards are your common military, Space Marines are more your specialized version of that with power armor and shit. Bray Knights are the Space Marine but more powerful, right? They are psychers and things. They're all division of military in a way who goes to battle or something. Inquisitors are more like your investigation secret police type of thing, where there are instance of some like something happened here, so they go there, investigate and deal that accordingly, I guess. And they are like a special forces, like how Spectres are in Mass Effect. Like they don't answer to, I guess, anyone, right? They have that kind of power, so they can investigate things without, I guess, getting stopped somewhere. Like Space Marines can't stop them. Other soldiers, Grey Knights, whatever, they can't stop them. They have their own authority to do whatever is necessary.
Exterminatus is deeming a planet unfit to be saved. I deem that this planet is demon infested and taking it back will cost too many resources and is not worth it. I have now committed exterminatus on this planet. I will now sign the death warrant of an entire Imperium planet, as it is unfit to take and better to be destroyed than allow the enemy to hold it. This can mean saturation bombardment, this can mean cracking the planet's core and breaking it apart. Doesn't matter. Render this planet inhospitable to all life. Yes, the innocence proves nothing people are the only people who can choose this planet must die in its entirety. Yeah, you're playing the villain. Now, it is memed a lot, but most Inquisitors...
Alright, wait a minute. I mean, I figured that when he says innocence proves something. Didn't I say it like results matter, who cares if you're innocent or not? That's their mentality. So basically a planet is infested by demons at a level that the resources are just not there to save it. What do you do at that point? Let the demons fester and I guess get out and affect other places? No. So you have to make an uncomfortable decision there to, I guess, kill the entire planet and all the population in it. Now obviously at the time, the arguments can be made like, what about all the innocent people? You're going to kill them? But the reality here is this is the grim and dark reality that we don't have resources and we can't just let demons go. So what should we do? Kill the planet. So that's where it comes from. Innocence proves nothing. It's all about results, I guess. And that's what they do here. Damn, that is fucked up. Now, yeah, the argument here is, what is their, how is their thought process? How easily they deem a planet, a planet to doom or something like this. Planet is not deemed, I don't know. This planet cannot be saved or something like that. How often, how quickly they come to that judgment? Do they exhaust all the options that there are? Or, because of all the power that they have and how their motto is innocence proves nothing, they are so hardcore and dark that even if, they don't try to explore all the options, right? If general approach does not work, they just kill the planet. Is it how that's how it is? Because if it's a just job and they check out all the options that is available and still comes out nothing, then they kill the planet. That's understandable. That's necessary thing. And that's fucked up because you killed an entire planet of life. But there was no other option. Then it's necessary. But how quickly they decide to kill a planet, that's the question.
Inquisitors are very rare to do exterminatus. Exterminatus is a very crazy thing. There's only so many worlds that you don't want to destroy all of them. Now, naturally, with the memes aside, there are some people who are a little bit rough on this one. But most Inquisitors generally don't like to do exterminatus a ton, but it is an option they have.
There you go.
And it's a crazy option when you think about it. Secret Police Inquisition are unfortunately not represented on the tabletop very much. You generally kind of put one in your army if you feel like it. You have a couple special options there and some side content, but they're not really fleshed out very well, and personally they need a lot more stuff put in there, and they really need a lot more effort put into them, and they're not quite where I want them to be. Overall, the Inquisition makes for a lot of the best storytelling as well, because it's a little bit hard to talk about a big story of a whole bunch of Space Marines killing something. Right? It's just a big battle story. It's not as interesting. Having that intrigue and that moral dilemma that an Inquisitor has makes for a lot better media. And honestly, the more people do it, I think it's better, because then it adds a little more humanity to the Warhammer horrible, horrible grimdarkness. And wow, we just finished the humans, all right? Come back for part 2 when we talk about Chaos and Xenos, because we got to talk about the 4 Chaos Gods and all the Chaos Marine Legions and the Tau and the Necrons and the Orcs, and oh boy, we got a lot. I'll see you in part 2.
This is so good. Part 2 is going to be awesome, because so far I was given this kind of a range of power and destruction that humans can do. But what about their counterparts? How powerful they are, Chaos Gods and everything. This is going to be fucking awesome. Yeah, I mean, I've said this many times in these 3 videos I've made, that this can be an awesome opportunity for some AAA game or even a fucking TV show, a movie or something. I don't know. They can expand so much. There is so much potential from this, especially the Inquisitor, right? Because in Mass Effect 2, in the DLC Arrival, in that we have to destroy an entire Batarian solar system, so Reapers don't come and kill everyone. That was a dilemma, and that was so fucking awesome, right? That's the stage for Mass Effect 3. So Inquisitors has that kind of a thing, right? They are like specters from Mass Effect who doesn't answer to anyone but investigate and do whatever is necessary. They can kill entire planet if they deem it necessary, I guess. That is such a good plot that people can explore with different stories. Yeah, that was damn awesome. Alright people, that was every single Warhammer 40k faction extended part 1 by Bricky. If you like my reaction about Warhammer 40k, don't forget to like and subscribe, so I'll know what type of reaction I should do more, I guess. And you'll be supporting my channels. And you know, around this time that I'm uploading right now, I plan to do Warhammer 40k videos every day. So tomorrow, about the same time as now, I will upload the Warhammer 40k part 2 from Bricky. So yeah, I'll see you next time.